8 minutes. And this is where the live starts. Hi guys, welcome to my Monday productivity for food entrepreneurs. I don't know what the name of this show is going to be yet, but if you are interested, please do hit subscribe, hit that bell so that you know when I go live. I will be going live every Monday from 10ish to 11ish whenever my son Micah goes down for his nap. Sorry about that I can't give you an exact time, mom life, it's just kind of how it goes. But I wanted to do this because one, I definitely think that a lot of us kind of have a hard time with staying consistent with productivity, including myself, and staying organized. And so one, this will help me do that. And then two, if you are also interested in productivity just like I am, or if you want to up your productivity game, then this is the show for you. It's a great time on Monday. You can use pen and paper, you can use Post-its. The main thing that you need to do is get those thoughts and tasks and projects out of your mind and onto something, into a system, as my business coach says. So however that looks like for you, that's the first start. For me, that solution was Notion. If you check my YouTube channel, you'll see for a long time I was using Evernote and Todoist. I was making my own digital planners and they all worked. But I wanted to change things up, and I have found that Notion actually works very well for me. So whatever works for you is what's important. Use what comes natural to you and don't force something. If you feel like it's a chore to use a particular app, give it some time, give it a chance. And if you still see that it's not really working with your lifestyle or how you were expecting it to, then find another system. So that's the main thing that I want to mention here. You don't have to use what I use, but the whole point of this is to hopefully give you some ideas, and then whether you use Notion or not, you can apply it to your personal system. So today I'm going to actually be walking you through my Notion setup. And so if I'm not looking at the camera, forgive me, it's because I'm setting up my Notion account and making sure that we're on the correct page. There we go. Okay. I'm going to be walking you through my Notion setup. And so I hope that this will kind of give you a surface level view of how I use it. And then you can kind of take and pick whatever is applicable to you. Another thing that I want to disclaimer here is I've been using Notion for quite some time now. I want to say at least a year. And so I have built what I've built in Notion over time. It definitely was not easy. I wanted to be complex and I wanted it to be pretty and, my system in place from day one. And when it comes to something like this, it doesn't work like that. You have to start from somewhere and build it over time. And that is what you're going to see here. This is a year worth of building, a year worth of systems creation. And so don't be afraid of that process. You don't have to have it. You don't have to have your system perfect before you start. What's important is you start with something to create a system. So that's what I'm going to show you today. But before that, while I was muted, I was kind of talking to you guys about the previous week. And so let's talk about that first so that you can kind of get some background on what last week was like, so that I can show you how I plan my week ahead. Because there's a lot of things that, don't get done in the previous week, and that's totally okay. But I have to be mindful about setting it into the week ahead. So last week was quite a week. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm almost glad that you guys didn't hear my long rant about my the personal stuff that we had to take care of. Long story short, I had a doctor's appointment, and then I had to go to the ER. I'm okay, nothing to worry about, but it took up a lot of my time toward the end of the week. That's all I'll say about that. But on the work end and on the business end, last week was our first live show, and I also had my own share of technical difficulties, just like I did just now. I can't believe that my mic was on mute for 8 minutes, so I apologize for that. But so last week's live show, if you haven't watched it, you can go ahead and watch it and laugh at the train wreck that it was. I had issues actually sharing my screen on Ecamm. Ecamm is the app that I use, the software that I use to go live every week. And so it was my first time last week using it, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to share my screen, but I have since then figured it out, so I will be able to finally do that today, which I'm really excited about. You can't believe the little happy dance that I did when it popped up on my Ecamm screen. So super happy that we'll be able to walk through my Notion setup today. So that was Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was basically focusing on our pop-ups. My main business is called Ninong's Dessert Lab. I own what used to be a restaurant. We used to have a restaurant for 13 years, and last year we had to close it. But since then, we are still operating an online store, and we're doing pop-ups throughout LA. And so we've been prepping because this past Saturday and Sunday was our first back-to-back Saturday-Sunday pop-up in over a year. I think the last time we had a 2-day pop-up was December of 2019, which is crazy how long ago that was. I was still pregnant the last time we did a 2-day pop-up. And so we had a lot of prep to do. And so that's what we focused on top of our regular online sales, our wholesale business that was coming in. So we had a lot on our plate this past week, which means I didn't get to do a lot of the administrative stuff that I typically do throughout the week. My priorities had to kind of shift a little bit, and you'll see how I'm able to keep track of it and do that within my Notion setup. So the weekend pop-ups were amazing, but because of that, I'm pretty tired today. It was just being on my feet for a while, and I haven't actually had to lift or stand like that since we closed the restaurant. Actually, even then, since I had the baby, I probably haven't done anything like that since I was early pregnancy in 2019. So needless to say, I am definitely out of my norm this past weekend, and so I am tired. I'm physically tired and I'm mentally tired, but it was so much fun. I'm so glad that we did it, and I can't wait until we do it again. If you are interested in following my food business, Ninong's Dessert Lab, I will also link our Instagram and our website down in the description box, as well as my personal Instagram account, so you can follow me. I post on everyday life. As a food entrepreneur, I try and share whatever resources I have for the restaurant industry, since a lot of my fellow restaurant and business owners are really suffering these past couple years, or this past year. And so I try to share as much as I can about that, and then also about mom life. I started a pandemic garden, and it's doing really well, and I've learned so much from that. So you'll be able to see a lot of that and a glimpse into my daily life on my Instagram. So I will link that below too. All right, so without further ado, shall we? So here is my Notion setup. This is Google Chrome, and I currently actually use another program, but I'm going to go into that in a different live show because I don't want to bombard you with too many things at once. But this is basically my Notion setup. I was talking last week on the live show about how I personally am using the premium account. You don't have to. You can actually use the free version of Notion, and you can you can experience a lot of the features that they offer with the free account. The main reason, as I said last week, the main reason why I actually moved into the premium account is because my husband Charlie and we collaborate a lot for the food business for Ninong's, and so we use Notion to do that because my husband isn't naturally, a productivity nerd. He doesn't open up productivity apps and he's not excited to use stuff like this. But I personally need to make sure that we have a place where I can remember all the things, because he is more action based. I'm more planning and operations based. And so this is the space where I can tag him in tasks and projects that he's responsible for. And then I can run the rest of the business through Notion, and he can see everything, but he doesn't. I know him, he's not going to look, but if I ever needed him to see something or look something up, I can easily say, hey, go into Notion, go into the Ninong's Dessert Lab workspace and look for this. Tell me what it says, and he'll be able to do it. It's really important for me to get that set up because as a restaurant, and knowing that as a previous restaurant owner and possibly future restaurant owner, I know how important it is for everyone to be on the same page. And so I don't want to have to reiterate things or redo things or re-explain things. If it's just one place where I can dump everything and then the other people look at that resource, it saves me a lot of time. So that's why I really like Notion and their premium account. But if at the moment you're a solo entrepreneur, maybe you're just running a cottage food business and it's just you, the free account for Notion is really great too. You do not have to have, a crazy, you don't have to pay the monthly fee, just because since you're a solopreneur, you'll be able to take advantage of a lot of the features if you're not collaborating or sharing. So that's that. But here is my Notion setup. I love how graphic Notion is. They offer these cover photos that you can customize. So I can change this cover if I wanted to with a photo that I upload, some colors. I can even use Unsplash that they link here, and you can search whatever photo you want that you can add on here. So I love that every page has that option so that it's very graphic based. This is also like a little icon, as you can see. So I just uploaded my photo on there, but you can actually use an emoji, which you can see on the side I've done with a lot of things. So this page, which I call it Kissa HQ, is my setup. And this is my main page that I open every single day. And actually, let me close this menu bar so it doesn't get super overwhelming just yet. So every time I open Notion, which is usually every morning, this is what I see. And I have updated this constantly throughout the years, just to match more with my life, so it makes it easier for me to find things. So this is basically the home page, and I use this for linking things so that I can easily find them. I have some quotes on the very top: stubborn about the goal, flexible on the approach. And this quote, actually, a very small shift in direction can lead to a very meaningful change in destination, is actually from Atomic Habits. I recently read Atomic Habits, and I can't tell you how much I recommend that book. It was very, very insightful on the idea of creating habits and how to be more productive. And I've really adopted a lot of the things that I read and learned from that book into my Notion system. There's going to be so many things that I reference in these videos that I do and these lives that I do that come from Atomic Habits. So if you are interested in that, definitely check it out. I can't recommend it highly enough. So in the top area, you'll see I have my mindset tools. This is my word of the year, cultivate. So I always have a theme word. Sometimes one year it was forward, the other year it was build, So I have different ones. This particular year is Cultivate. It's themed after my garden. And so I always kind of refer back to that, and it makes having it here on my HQ just helps me remember that any decision I make, or any type of, productivity plan, or any project I'm about to take on, I want to make sure that it falls within the theme word that I have for the year, because I'm the type of person that wants to say yes to everything, and honestly, where I'm at in life, that's not possible for me right now. And so I want to make sure that whatever I do say yes to, it kind of moves me forward toward whatever goal I have. And one of my goals is to cultivate more relationships, cultivate my self confidence, all kinds of things. And if you want to watch my goal setting video, I talk a little bit more about that. You can find that in my YouTube channel, but my 2021 goal setting video kind of talks a little bit more about that. Underneath is forecasting, and you'll see here, I'll click to it really quick. This is basically my goal setting page. So this links to what my yearly goals are, what my quarterly goals are, and then my monthly. And then I break that down into my weekly setups, which you will see right below. See, this is my weekly agenda, which I use for goal setting, but also planning. Mantras are just positive affirmations. I say them every morning, so I like to have them right at the very top. I have a little journal. This is a journal section actually for prayer, for church notes, and then resources are things like I've taken the wealth dynamics quiz, I guess. And so this is here for me to reference to whenever I want to kind of dive deep again, or if my business coach, for example, is asking for my wealth dynamics, I can find it. So that's kind of a place where I dump resources. In this other column is my quick reference area. So these are things that are outside of my weekly agenda that I always kind of go back to in Notion. So exchanges is one of the main things that I use. And if I click in there, you'll see that exchanges are basically anytime I have a meeting or I'm taking notes on something. So I called it exchanges because it's an exchange of either information, exchange of maybe it's a heart-to-heart, exchange of emotion, exchange of whatever. So this is where I basically keep notes. An example here is Heather. Today I had a meeting with my accountability partner, Heather. And so you can see all the empowered entrepreneurs tags. That's all the conversations we've had every single week, just to help me remember what we were talking about, because I can bet you, I won't open this up, but inside this note, it'll say what she wants to get done for next week. And I can easily open this up next Monday and ask her, hey, you were telling me about that thing, how'd it go? Or were you able to finish that thing that you were talking to me about? So that's why I love to have this database, because I can filter these exchanges or meeting notes basically by tag, by person, or I can do it by date. So there's so many things that I can do so that I can find the information that I'm looking for. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so that's what exchanges is for me. Basically meeting notes is what it is. Then I have an ongoing reading list. So these are lists of books that I want to read. I've actually read Atomic Habits, and these are just, recommendations from friends, coaches, that type of stuff. And I'm a big, aficionado of nonfiction, but I definitely want to try and read some fiction as well. So if you guys have any recommendations on fiction books that you like, please let me know what they are, because I'm going to add that to the reading list. This is for my coaching business. So you'll see I have the link to my calendar here, so it's easy for me to copy and paste it, send it to people. My bio, if I'm going to be doing a speaking engagement, or I'm going to be featured in some kind of article, they always ask for a bio, so this is what I always send to them. And my rates and everything are in here. So these are just quick reference things that it makes it easy for me to access all that information whenever anyone's asking for it or I need it really quickly. So that's my HQ. Sorry, I forgot to explain this area. This is my weekly agenda. So this is where you'll see all my planning, my productivity stuff gets broken into the weekly agenda. I will go into this in a minute. And then below is what I call my inbox. I've adopted this concept of the inbox from my old Evernote videos. So if you're interested in what an inbox is when it comes to productivity, you can check out my old Evernote videos about the inbox. But this is basically a place where I can dump things like web clippings or articles that I see that I want to read later. These are things that haven't been sorted and put in the right place in Notion that I need to get to. So I try and work on my inbox every week. Obviously, I don't get to it every single week, but I try to sort through it so that these documents can go into the right place wherever it needs to go. So there we go. That's finally my HQ. Now, going into my weekly agenda, and like I said, I will dive into how I created these things in another video, but I just want to show you on the surface level what my setup looks like. So for the weekly agenda, I always have a filter on here so that I only see a specific time period. So if I were actually to remove this, you would actually see this. And it gets overwhelming when you look at your agendas like this. Like you have no idea where you are or what you're doing or anything like that. And so what I do is I like to filter my weekly agenda and what I see at once within the past week or within the past month. Right now, I don't even want to look at more than one thing. So I did the past week. And so let's go ahead and create my weekly agenda for May 3rd to, May 3rd to May 9th. So all you need to do is go in here, click new, and then I'm going to say May 3 through 9th. And then if I open it up, I've created a template already. As I mentioned, this has been a work in progress. If you would like this template, actually, let me know. And what's really cool about Notion too is I can share this with you and you can actually duplicate it and use it for yourself. But this is already here. I've created it. And so it auto generates the template that I've created, so I don't have to create it every single week. So this is my setup. I have this statement that I've created with one of my accountability partners that gives me kind of that motivation to work on projects or tasks that I don't want to work on. I'm notorious for procrastinating or doing things at the very last minute. And so this statement definitely helps me stay on top of things, and it helps remind me what the consequence is if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And it also reminds me of the good thing that will happen when I actually get it done. So we'll be working on this in a second, but I want to kind of go through this template with you guys so that you can see what else is on here. Another thing that I do is I talk about, or I list down here what I want to focus on for the week. So this week, my focus is going to be on Mother's Day weekend. because in the food business, or at least for our food business, Mother's Day is by far our busiest day of the year. And so there's a lot of things that we need to do to make sure that customers remember that they have to order on time. There's an order cutoff, all the things. So I'm going to focus on Mother's Day. And then another thing I'm going to focus on actually is on the personal side, meal prep. The hardest thing for me when it comes to staying healthy and eating good food that's good for me, is I get lazy to cook throughout the week when things get really stressful and hectic. And that tends to be on Wednesday and Friday. So I want to make sure that I have enough groceries and all that stuff. And so I'm going to focus on meal prepping today and tomorrow so that I have food for the week, and then I can also spell out what I'm going to eat in the next week. So Mother's Day, you'll see I'm going to break that down into my daily journals. I'm not going to break it down on my weekly setup. Then below that, I have my shopping list. This is just an area to remind me if I'm running low on something, which reminds me I am running low on conditioner and shampoo. So I just add that to my list. Same thing goes with, groceries. If I'm running out of cooking oil or butter, or I don't know what it is, I'll put that in my shopping list. That way I can just make sure that I don't forget. And if I am out, I have it on my phone, I have it on my iPad, I have it on my computer. It's synced to everything. So there's my shopping list. And then I go into here and I set my daily journal so that it doesn't show all the days. It only shows me everything from May 3rd to May 9th. So I'll go in here, I'll filter. And then the filter is for everything on or after May 3rd. And then now you can see this has disappeared. I'll go into this also in a minute, but I want to keep going. My tasks, I'm also going to filter. My filter will be actually on or before the 9th. So that will basically show me all the tasks that I need to get done this week or the weeks before that didn't get done, which really helps me. I'm going to open this so you guys can see it bigger. It definitely helps me see where I'm at with things that haven't gotten done. A good example will be laundry. Unfortunately, laundry did not get done on April 30th. So it shows me not just things from May 3rd to May 9th, but it shows me everything that hasn't been done yet up to May 9th. So that helps me a lot, and I can't believe, wow, there's a lot on there. So we'll get to that. But I want to keep going here. So weekly reflection is something that I work on more toward the Saturday and Sunday of every week. I really like, this is one of my favorite sections. I have a daily and weekly reflection. And so this is kind of the area where I can say, okay, what good stuff happened this particular week? And every time something does happen, I try and remember to put it in here, but I usually do it on Saturday and Sunday, because I want to remember not just the good things, but also I put losses here because they are lessons learned, and I don't want to forget that. I don't want to only just see the good, because sometimes I need to remember what happened. It's always such a blur to me. I want to remember what happened, including the bad stuff. That way I can really reflect and turn those losses into lessons. So that's why I've created that section. And then you'll see there's little journal prompts here that I always like to answer. What was I doing this time last year? My gosh, this time last year was crazy because it was my first Mother's Day coming up, and it was all kinds of crazy with the lockdown and everything happening in LA. So even just reading that question brings me back to May of 2020 and how insane and unknown everything was just feeling. So anyway, so this is just a list of questions that I go through also. And it's really nice to just be able to think back on the week, carve that time out, and actually say, okay, I did get a lot done, or I want to improve on this in this next upcoming week. So that's what that's for. All right, so now that I've walked you through my weekly agenda, let's actually use it. So let's go all the way up here to the top. I've created these. These are all things that I've created. You can customize all of these things, but these are things that I want to basically see and keep track of. So the date, I'm going to put May 3rd to the 9th. So I know that this is the weekly agenda for this running week. I put cheat meal here because I'm trying to eat more healthy. It's one of my goals for 2021. And so I'm allowing myself one cheat meal a week. And so this gives me the opportunity to put, if I did do it, I put it here so that throughout the week, if I already had my cheat meal on Monday, for example, then I know for the rest of the week, I can't have it. I gotta wait until the following week. So this helps me just keep it on the very top of my weekly agenda. But I have not yet had my cheat meal, so I'm gonna remove that. Okay, and then focus for the week is actually a little bit different from the one here below. Focus has to do with projects. So if there's a project that I want to focus on, for example, coaching, this is another page. I can pick certain projects that I've already created so that I can quickly reference them. So let's use this locals pop-up, for example. Let's pretend that the locals pop-up is going to be this weekend. It'll pop up this window here and it'll show me the document that I've created so that I can plan out the pop-up, the menu, the pastries and products, how this shows how many we're bringing and all that stuff. So it'll help me quickly reference those documents. And then any other exchanges that I've had this past week. So for example, I'm going to put Heather in here because she was my first exchange from this week. And then I have a couple accountability meetings, group coaching calls, that type of stuff. And I link them all here so that I can easily access them when I'm in my weekly agenda. Because sometimes I'm like, Heather said something that I wanted to check on, or my group coaching call had homework that I needed to work on or research that I needed to do. So what was that thing? And then I can easily go in there and pop in and read whatever the notes are. So that's why I have that. Okay, so now weekly agenda. We're going to remember that our focus for this week is Mother's Day and meal prep. Actually, that being said, Mother's Day, I'm going to put special orders cut off on Friday, or let's say Thursday night for pickups. And then on the personal side, we're also celebrating Mother's Day, so we have to buy groceries for Mother's Day party. So we're having a little get together here at our house actually this coming Sunday with family, and so we need to also do our grocery shopping so that we can buy all the things that we need for the barbecue and not have to try and scramble and buy things last minute. So that's Mother's Day. And then meal prep, I'm gonna need to make a grocery list of some kind. And I'm going to inventory what I have. That way, if I already have greens, I'm not buying more than I need because I hate it when food goes bad. and then I can add whatever I do need for my meal prep into my shopping list. So there's that. Now I'm going to go into my daily journal. My daily journal is a breakdown of things that I want to track daily, my daily tasks, and also daily reflections. I'm trying to be very mindful in this year. Like, one of my goals is to just improve my mindset. And so I knew that a daily practice is going to be necessary. So I know I said that I normally plan my life week by week, but there are things that I need to do daily to make sure that my weeks are fruitful and my weeks actually get the wheel turning still, So my daily journal is something that I've adopted and created. I don't always use my daily journal. I should, but I don't always use it. And that's also one of the goals that I have, because I know that when I do continuously check that daily journal, or at the very least my weekly agenda, it definitely helps. It helps so much, because I can see at a glance what I'm going through, what needs to get done, and all the things. So let's create a daily journal for today's date, since I haven't done it yet. So all I'm going to do is click new, and then I'm going to put Monday, May 3rd, 21. I track my blood sugar level, so I have to do that. I also like to put in something that I'm grateful for every single day. And I've actually gotten pretty good about sharing or, putting something in here. But it helps me just kind of reframe. If I'm having a rough morning or an anxious morning, it helps me reframe my day, because I'm looking at it from a gratitude perspective versus, a scarcity mindset, or, an angry state. This helps me get into a more positive mindset. So something that I'm grateful for today is, I'm grateful for the restaurant revitalization fund. I wanted to mention this at the beginning of the live, but if you're still watching and you're watching the replay, if you are a restaurant that has been affected by the pandemic, you can apply for this restaurant revitalization fund grant that's being dispersed by the SBA. And I did my application this morning. I was super nervous because I thought it was going to be this long, horrible thing that I had to do, but it was so easy. I was done within 15 minutes, I want to say, and it's already in process. So if you have been affected, go check out the SBA website and you can apply for this grant. The best part is it's a grant. You don't have to repay this money. You just get the grant, you use it, you pay some of your payables, you use it towards your operation costs, and this is free money. So go apply. But I'm personally grateful for it, because this will open up the door for us in so many ways. You guys don't even know. I can't even get into it, because it would be a whole nother hour-long video, maybe even longer, of just how crazy hard it's been, not just for us, but for other restaurant and small businesses during the past year. This is something that I'm so grateful for, because not only will it help us, but it'll help a lot of our friends and colleagues that are going through the same thing. So I'm extremely grateful for the restaurant fund and just what could come from it, and hoping that it will help speed up the repair and the healing that needs to happen from everything that's happened in this past year. So that's that. And then here I put in how I'm feeling this particular day. So I'm definitely grateful. I feel tired, to be honest. And so there's a whole slew of things. And if there's something new that I'm feeling, you can add something new. So I can put, for example, have I put motivated already? No. So I can put motivated. I put unmotivated, but I'm going to put motivated here, and then I can just click create, and then you can see it's down at the bottom. I can even change the color. I want to make it green, and then I can move it with all of the other green things. And this also helps me to see, I used to do a mood tracker in my bullet journal, and this is basically the equivalent of my mood tracker. I'm going to add this to the week of May 3rd to May 9th. And that's just so I can easily reference these things, because it's cool. Once we're done with this, you'll see how this all works. This is my water intake. So I like to use emojis here. The water drop is what I use, and I'm trying to drink about 10 cups of water per day at least, and 16 ounce cups of water. So this helps me keep track of it. This is something that I just started implementing also. So this is where I can keep track of that. And then here for accomplishment is something that I do at the end of the day. I like to write in something that I actually got done. That way, if I feel like it wasn't a productive day at all, it forces me to either do something if I feel like I haven't accomplished anything, or it'll help me reflect on the day and just say, yeah, I actually thought that I didn't accomplish anything, but I did. That's pretty cool. So I fill this out at the end of the day, and then I click on another template that I've created, my daily journal. So if I click on this, it automatically generates the daily journal that I've personally created for myself, and it I don't have to copy and paste anything. I don't have to fill anything out. It's already there and ready for me to go. So this is something that I've personally created for myself. So I can check off the things in this is my morning routine that you see here. I already got ready. I've had my glass of water in the morning. I haven't had my morning coffee yet, but we did my gratitude together. I am supposed to do a daily download every night. I didn't do it last night because I was so exhausted from the pop-up. So I'm going to leave this unchecked, but that's going to be, you'll see, part of my nighttime routine. And then what I like to do is read it in the morning, because when I do my daily download, a lot of what comes out of my head is tasks that I need to do. So I like to read through that in the morning so that I can add things to my agenda as needed. And then say my mantras, which are my positive affirmations, which I have already done. So there's that. I ask some key questions. What's my focus today? So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to say I will create our social media schedule for this week, because if I don't, our customers won't know our process for placing Mother's Day orders. And when I do, I will have peace of mind knowing that there is information to make the ordering process smoother. So that's my first focus for today. My second focus is I will have my weekly meeting with Charlie, because if I don't, the consequence is we won't be on the same page. And when I do, I will know that nothing will fall through the cracks. That. Okay. And then the last thing that I'm going to focus on today is creating our pop-up calendar. I will create our pop-up calendar and put it on our website, because if I don't, people will not have access to the information on where we will be selling next. And when I do, it will be an easy place to refer and link to when customers inquire. You can't believe how many DMs I get and how many emails I get of, when is your next pop-up? Where are you going to be? Are you ever going to come to this area? And so this is a big task that I want to tackle, because I can easily say, yes, go to ninongsdessertlab.com/calendar and you'll be able to find out when our next pop-up is and exactly where. So that is something that I'm going to do today, because I know it doesn't take a lot of energy. I know exactly how to do it, and all I need to do is actually just get it done. So that's something that I can do today. And then another question that I have is, what can I do today that will move the needle forward? Sometimes this question is specifically for those moments where I'm putting something off that I don't want to do, but I know that if I do it, it'll take me to the next necessary step. And I know for me, that is bookkeeping. I'm behind by 2 weeks. I need to get our bookkeeping done. That way, if, for example, for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, if I actually have documentation that they need, it's ready to go, because if I did the bookkeeping, I can generate the reports really fast and then I can send it off right away. So that is something that needs to get done today, probably when Micah goes down for his second nap. All right, so these are the tasks that I have for today. One thing that I want to note is the tasks for today are the same exact tasks that are in, let me show you, in this column in my weekly agenda. So this is my weekly agenda. This is what I have on my tasks for Monday, but this shows it to me in a weekly view, so you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so on. But if I go into my daily journal, I only see what I have to get done today. So I can see it multiple ways depending on my mood. If my weekly agenda just completely overwhelms me, then this is how I like to look at it, because then I know that I can actually just focus on what's at hand. And then the less that's on the weekly agenda, the less overwhelming it becomes for me. So sometimes it all depends when it comes to productivity on your mood, right? Like sometimes your system that you have in place isn't working during a specific period in your life or in the month or whatever it is. And so if there's a different way that you can look at it to make it more digestible, then that is the way you want to kind of view it for the time being until things kind of revert back and get back to normal. And so for me, my weekly agenda is a little bit overwhelming because I didn't get very much done in the last week. And so this is how I'm going to be able to stay focused. I'm just going to focus on the task at hand, whatever's due for Monday, and just stick with that. That way I can make sure I can at least get this done and the week looks less full, you know? So one thing I already did was I contacted this person for their wedding favors. So I'm going to check that off and it immediately goes away. I'm going to empty my kitchen compost this afternoon when I go out and water the garden. I'm going to create the Ninong's weekly agenda, which is very similar to my personal weekly agenda. Bookkeeping, I always do on Mondays. Groceries, we're going to go through that because I need to take inventory like I mentioned. So this is just what I have to do today. And then below, I have my daily reflection for the evening. So questions like, what gave me the most joy? What did I discover today? On a scale of 1 to 10, do I feel like I made good decisions? And what did I do today that brought me closer to my ultimate life? I created a little document of what I envision my ideal life to look like. That could be being able to work from anywhere in the world, paying off, I'm debt free. I I'm able to travel 3 weeks out of the year with my family, whatever that looks like. I have a document where I have what my ultimate life looks like, so I can envision it in my head. And if I did do anything that brought me closer to that ultimate life, maybe I made a credit card payment, or I was able to keep myself from purchasing this thing that wasn't necessary so that I can use it for something else, whatever that is, I write it here. And then this is basically my nighttime routine. I fill up my water cup, I do my skincare routine, take my vitamins, I read a devotional, and then here's my daily download, like I mentioned. And then I write down an accomplishment. And then if I do have the energy, I read. I don't have anything on my reading list quite yet, but like I said, if you guys have any recommendations, please send them to me. I think I might end up reading The Go-Giver, because my business coach actually sent these to me and I have them on my desk. So I might read The Go-Giver until I actually have something else that kind of tickles my fancy on my reading list. So that is my daily agenda. All right. So let me go back here to my HQ. All right. So that is basically it, guys. Let me go back into my regular screen. That is just breaking the surface, and it's a lot, so I don't want to dive in too much in one live show. I'll definitely break them down so that it makes it easier for you guys to put the puzzle pieces together. But like I mentioned, this is how I operate my week. This is how I personally am able to stay on top of everything, and I was able to adapt as I see fit, adapt as I grow, because I notice that I'll notice something that needs to get done, or there's a new situation that is being introduced to our life, and it's something that is going to become a regular thing. So you have to be flexible and malleable and understand that it's a work in progress all the time. And I didn't look at productivity like that. I always looked at productivity like, okay, I have to follow what the app says or what the planner directive shows me, and I have to do it that way, because if I don't do it that way, then I'm doing productivity wrong. And that's so not true. That is the farthest thing from the truth. The main thing that we always want to remember with productivity is like, it's custom to each person. Even if my husband, who lives his daily life almost exactly the same way as I do, does not have the same productivity system as I do. It's completely different. Even if we live in the same house, we take care of the same baby, we eat the same food, we run the same business, that doesn't matter, because the way that I process information in my own head is very different from how he processes information in his head. So productivity is very individualistic, and that's why I like these apps like Evernote and Notion and stuff like that, because to someone that's very new to productivity, I totally understand that it can be really overwhelming, because it's a blank slate and you have no idea where to start. But there are templates out there. Use those templates. Don't be afraid to start with the templates that someone else has created, and then edit those templates to make it make more sense for you. Start somewhere really simple, even if it's like a piece of paper, and then you just have boxes, and then it's a list. That works. Don't be afraid to do that. Start there and just say, okay, how can, maybe the next week or even the next month, you can ask, how can I make this a little easier? Maybe you don't carry around that pad of paper everywhere you go and you have a mobile business. Then put it onto your phone. Maybe try the default task app that's on your phone and see if that works for you. Maybe it's good because you have it at your fingertips all the time, because we all have our phones on us all the time. But do you check it? Maybe you don't open the app enough. Then set a reminder. Turn on an alarm, and on your alarm put check my to-do list or update to-do list. And maybe that alarm goes off every single day at 9 a.m. or Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. The great thing about technology is you can do these things where you could just say, set an alarm Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and it makes it so easy. And then when you do that, you can, when you get the alarm, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, let's open up and see what kind of stuff I have on my list this week. And then from there, you can start making those observations. So if you observe that you want to kind of dig a little deeper in the task area, that's great. Then put your money into the tasks. If you notice that you are more of a journaling person, that's great. Put your money into the journaling. Are you more creative? Do you want to do a bullet journal? Are you more mechanic-like and you want spreadsheets? Then use Excel, use Notion. Think about how your brain already works and find the system that marks most of the boxes, and then start from there. But that's pretty much it, guys. So next week, I think the best thing to do is dive in a little bit deeper. I'll show you guys the business side. What you guys saw is more of my personal breakdown. But next week, I will show you guys specifically the Ninong's Dessert Lab, like workflow and workboard, so that you guys can see how I track custom special orders that come in, and I have email templates and all kinds of stuff in there. So I will show you guys that next week. And in the meantime, if you guys have questions or anything like that, please put it in the comments below. You can follow our food business at Ninong's Dessert Lab on Instagram, and you can follow me at Just Kissa on my personal Instagram. Let's see here. Oh, James and Mark has a question. So they said, I told myself I would work more on project management skills for the month of May. Do you have any recommendations on what you like to do to manage tasks among a lot of people? Yes. So let me show you guys. Let me do a screen share again. I'll do a little preview in that case of the Ninong's Dessert Lab workflow. So the great thing about Notion is you can easily share these hubs or any page on your Notion account. You can collaborate and share them with anyone. So you can see here, you just tap share, and then you can see you can add people via email. You can see everyone in our group has access, which is basically Charlie and myself. And then you can also give them levels of access. So you can do full access, they can edit, they can comment, or they can view. So Notion is really great with that. And from here, you'll be able to see, I've also created a weekly agenda for our team, which is basically me and Charlie at the moment. I'm actually hoping to get a VA or some kind of assistant in Q3 of this year. So this is why I'm also kind of building this system, so that an external person can easily jump in and kind of, tap through and kind of browse through it, and it be easy for them to access. But this is where we do our tasks. So if I open our weekly agenda for the business, you can see this is the template that I've created. It'll show all of our projects that are kind of in the pipeline, and you can view this certain ways. But here are our tasks. So if I hit a new task, and you want to assign people tasks, you can do that within this app, and I can tag the correct person. So if it's a task for me, I can tag myself. It's a task for Charlie, or if it's a task for multiple people, you can do that, and it sends that information to whoever you are trying to collaborate with. that for me personally has been what has worked. Everyone that is going to, oh, sorry guys. I had someone ring the doorbell. Evie, come here. My dog Evie decided to bark. Hey, come here, Evie. You'll be able to see, sorry to interrupt, but they'll be able to see only what you share with them, and they get a notification when you tag them. A lot of other to-do lists have this feature. I know even Google Drive, Google Docs, that type of thing, they have this as well. But this is what I've found works for us. And I can also filter if I only want to see what's due for me. For example, I can add a filter here that's with the assign field, and then I can put a certain person. So if it's just for me, I can see it this way. Or even if it's for my husband, Charlie, I can see it that way. So it all depends on how it makes most sense for you. For this particular dashboard, I always want to make sure that I can see everything because, like I mentioned, Charlie isn't really into productivity. So all he does is basically check off things that are already done. And as you can see, sometimes he doesn't do that because he posted some of this stuff on our Instagram already and he didn't even mark it as complete. So there's a lot of things that, like, you know, that I want to see, even though it's not a personal task that's assigned to me. Hopefully that helps you. Oh, it's 12 o'clock, guys. Can't believe that. It went by so fast. But that's personally what worked for us and is currently working. So let me know if that's helpful. I can always, if you want, DM me and I can show you more in depth. But hopefully that was a good stepping stone, you know, first step for you guys. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. I will be back Monday next week, 10-ish, 11-ish. And so make sure you hit that notification bell and that subscribe button because, as I mentioned, mom life. I don't know when I'm going to be going live, but it's somewhere within that hour. It all depends on when the baby wants to take a nap. So thank you guys again. Have a great week. And if you have any questions in the meantime, please do contact me. Bye.